I'm going to read a little piece of a manuscript I wrote. Oh, my name's Sascha, if you don't know me. Sorry, awkward on stage. About reconnecting with all my like childhood friends. When I first came out as trans and non-binary, I was like, oh, these people I grew up with, they're never gonna get it. So I just cut all of them off for like a decade and then saw my friends again and it was fine. Turns out the people who like loved you when you were a teenager and like a weird gender non-conforming teenager are still gonna love you when you're a gender non-conforming adult. So anyway, I loved sitting on the wall at the end of Forest Street in Glen Rock, right around the time he bought the Johnny X EP by the Bouncing Souls. Forrest and I played that record over and over again at night during the summer when we were 15. He would drop the needle on the wax and the Souls would sing to us about Johnny X, swearing he was bound by only 6 strings to this world. I didn't know how to play guitar, but hearing those words, I felt absolutely certain I was bound to a world I didn't understand by some gossamer filament of similarly tenuous strength. The stark black and white front cover of the record showed a silhouetted and lone punk rocker cradling a bottle in his hands, staring into the darkness, sitting in a deserted New Jersey train stop. I imagined him staring into the shadows of a dead future with a grim determination. On aimless summer nights, Forrest and I would walk to the end of the street and sit on the wall and talk. I like to imagine I looked as cool and as romantically hopeless as Johnny X, staring into my own dead future, even though I was 6 years away from being able to legally hold a bottle and didn't have much interest in drinking anyway. 20 years later, reflecting on a gloriously misspent youth, one of my biggest regrets is still missing the Bouncing Souls show with FYP and the Dwarves at the Lancaster, Pennsylvania YMCA in the spring of 1997. The internet had not come into as wide of use for networking and promoting shows yet. Social media did not even exist, yet alone with such a ubiquitousness that you could scarcely imagine your life without it. Forrest heard about the show Friday night and couldn't track me down by Saturday night to tell me. I ended up wandering around the York Galleria with other friends, stealing random shit and going home. It would have been a night as forgettable as any other had it not ended up being defined by what I didn't do, which was see the Bouncing Souls. Forrest told me all about it the next day, how the whole crowd was just so energetic and alive the whole night. During one of the opening bands, a few Nazi skinheads show up and began Sieg Heiling in the crowd. The crowd in turn pulled together and proceeded to stomp the Nazi skins all the way back to their cars and get back inside in time for the Bouncing Souls set. When the Bouncing Souls played, the room was even more electric and with energy and joy. Okay. I loved Forrest's bottomless well and enthusiasm for the music and the movement. Even some of the worst Going Through the Motions records put out by aging punk bands 20 years past their halcyon days. Or halcyon holidays in the sun sounded like magic in his room. His excitement was just that infectious. I loved the sound of Forrest learning guitar. I loved watching Melanie paint. I loved Melanie's absolute refusal to diminish herself for anyone. I loved the three of us going to find new records and zines together, finding the things that allowed us to see life outside of Southern York County. I loved Forrest eagerly dragging us to every show he could find. I loved dancing with the punks. I loved moon stomping at the ska shows with all the rude boys and rude girls. Okay, so that is that, and now I'm gonna read a poem. This one is for Widow and for Heather Penny and for The Clash. I am tired of writing poetry while the world burns down, set to the droning sounds of helicopters hovering in the skyline, like I have been tired of so much for the past 5 years, the past 10 years, the past life. All of my loves wear worry lines into fragile smiles. their brittle eyes filled with visions of the fire next time. But we have been dancing in the flames for our entire lives, save for brief respite of breaths shared in rooms safe as houses, doors locked against the cold outside. Standing at the edge of industry in the weeds with my friends, burning bridges to nowhere with a blueprint for breaking my own heart all over again. I wonder just how far we have to fall as a death culture. Where's the threshold? I fall asleep with the breath of emptiness exhaling whispers down the back of my neck. Spectral eyes stare hell into skin too thin for this fucking planet. Thank you.